ready for success. Leadership Strategies for Women is a show dedicated to providing practical and valuable strategies for emerging women leaders of today. It's your time to get inspired, motivated, and challenged to achieve your vision for success. And now, here's leadership speaker and coach, Ellie Nieves.
Hello, this is the Leadership Strategies for Women podcast, and I'm your host, Ellie Nieves. I'm the founder and president of Leadership Strategies for Women, where I develop seminars and webinars to help high-achieving women show up, speak up, and step up in their careers. To learn more, please visit my website at leadershipstrategiesforwomen.com, or you can follow the Leadership Strategies for Women page on Facebook. Our guest is Jay Harris. Jay is a productivity expert. Jay speaks at firms across the nation, seeking to enrich leaders to align teams and manage time effectively. She helps clients win back up to 10 hours per week a year, keep an empty email inbox, and create high-performance work teams. Jay's clients include Fortune 500 companies, medium to small-sized businesses, and government organizations. She specializes in group seminars, keynotes, and one-on-one coaching. Jay, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Ellie. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, we're excited to spend the next several minutes chatting with you and learning about productivity. But before we kick off, can you share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I work with McGee Productivity Solutions and all the things that you just spoke about to help people win back time and get the work-life balance they desperately need to avoid burnout. So that's mainly what I do. And then part-time, I'm in ministry and love just supporting women to become whole and free and live in their whole and free identity in Christ. And I'm
wonderful.
In Denver, Colorado.
Oh, fun part of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jay, to kick us off, what is the correlation between productivity and leadership development?
Sure. There's a huge correlation of productivity and leadership development, mainly because if we have to look at productivity in three different parts. So there's the part one is your personal productivity. If you do well with managing yourself and leading yourself well, including your time and how you're going about your day, you're going to be more effective in part two, which is team productivity, getting your team aligned on the same page, winning at projects, completing tasks, finishing things, and really getting the output that you want from your team. And whether that's even your family team as well. So when I speak team, it's at work, but it's also your household. And when, again, our personal productivity, our life management is going really well, it's easier to focus on our team productivity. And then the third part of productivity and leadership is around organizational productivity, and that involves your clarity with your key direct reports or your upper levels. How clear are you with what you're even driving in the first place? So it starts with personal, because if I can manage my email well, my schedule well, my life well, I'm going to be that much more giving and open to manage the team well. And if I can do well with the team, then I'm going to be more effective for the organization.
I love that. And I love what you said about translating being personally effective, not just at work, but also at home and in your personal life. I find that is so true. And the times that I've found myself doing really well at work because I'm managing time well and I don't feel stressed out, when I come home, my husband picks up on it and I can be more giving to him. So yeah. I think you're spot on.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, we see it all the time. And sometimes you do have to focus on family or focus on personal matters, which is a part of life. But, yeah, when we manage ourselves well, we have a lot more to give.
Great. So what are your top 3 productivity tips for emerging women leaders?
Okay. I hope that the listeners have a pen handy because the top 3, I would say, number 1 is going to be to have solid boundaries on your energy and what makes you your best person. And that is great self-care. So that looks like For some people, it's as simple as eating breakfast. Other people, they need Fridays to refresh and the weekend, or not taking calls on weekends. They need an email time of day, so they can just manage email and not feel overwhelmed and stressed by it. But having that clarity on your personal boundaries on what around your self-care and prioritizing that is critical to productivity and staying balanced. Number 2, I would say, is having an action area. An action area is not your head. How you can wake up in the middle of the night or be driving somewhere and say, oh, I forgot this or that. A lot of times we actually don't have a system in place. So we don't have a place to say, where does all that action go? Where all those commitments, all those things I want to do, need to do, have to do, where does all of that go? And what happens is we have several places for managing actions. And one of them is our heads when we forget stuff, like I just mentioned. Another one could be the email inbox. Another one could be Post-it notes or sticky notes. Another one could be an app on your phone. So having one place to collect all of your action and knowing, okay, just like your email box, you can depend on it having emails. You have one area that has all of your tasks is critical for productivity. And I know it seems like, well, how do I do that? Well, we utilize Outlook in our Take Back Your Life program and personal productivity program at McGee. And we help people with exactly that, how to have one collecting place for capturing all of their commitments. And I would say that's major. Even if it's a notebook, whatever it is, just pick one area that's going to actually have everything you need to do personally and professionally for managing action. The third thing I would say is having a baseline calendar. And what that means is that you want to approach your life and your week in a proactive way. So if you look at your life and your day-to-day activities, you kind of have a rhythm, and you may not realize it, or it may feel really reactive. But instead of just kind of it feeling reactive, you want it to be very intentional and proactive. And how we do that is with the baseline calendar. And what that means, again, is setting up your schedule to drive what you need to drive when and where. So, for example, one leader, for example, I was coaching she couldn't get her actions done during the day because she was in meetings all day long. So some of you have that experience. You're in meetings all day. How in the world do you get your actions done? They go, where do they go? On the weekends, they go at night, they go early morning. So what happens is with her, she made a boundary on her baseline calendar that every week from 5 to 8, she was with her family, period. There was no interruptions. She's not taking calls. She's not looking at email. Unless it was a true, identified, distinct emergency. So from 5 to 8, Monday through Thursday, she would not answer the phone. Again, no work. It would just be family-focused time. And then from 8 to, in her world, 10, her level was high up. So 8 to 10, 8 to 12 at night, which, again, I don't love to recommend. But that is what she did Monday through Thursday. And then Friday through the weekend was basically only emergency contact for work. And she was able to shut off completely because her actions and her project thinking time and all the analytics she needed to do were done during that Monday through Thursday from 8 to 10 at night or 8 to 12 at night. I, again, don't recommend that for everybody. Some leaders will do it from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. It just depends on the level of your position and what's needed. Or some of you may only need like a Monday night work late night, and you dedicate that whole night to work, and you have the rest of the week for family time. It's just figuring out how do you work your week to fit in your self-care, your exercise, your meals, and your email processing time, as well as your focused work time and project thinking time that you need, and all the meetings. How do you drive it? And so I work with a lot of leaders to do like their internal meetings, their one-on-ones on Mondays, and then other meetings for projects and teams and everything else from Tuesday to Thursday. And then Fridays would be like your S&A. We call it Strategic Next Action or Action Focus Day. So that focus work thinking time would just be all yours for Friday, and not scheduling meetings on Friday as much as you can prevent it. So that's what I mean by baseline calendar. So those 3 tips, one is the personal boundaries, 2 is the action area in one place, and 3 is the baseline calendar, I would say, are probably the things that are going to pay off the most when it comes in terms of work-life balance and less stress.
Those tips are fantastic. I was writing furiously as you were speaking, so thank you for sharing those. I especially love the idea of the personal boundaries, because when we're clear about that, then it's easy to let others know what our boundaries are as well. And I think that that's probably the biggest challenge, especially when you've got so much going on in your day-to-day.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jay, you are very successful in your own right, in addition to being a productivity expert, as you shared with us early in the podcast. You also have a lot going on personally in terms of both ministry as well as business projects that you are launching off on your own. What are some of the challenges that you faced as you have been striving to attain your personal career goals?
Sure. I would honestly, the biggest one is because my personal career, I guess, is it's all in one. So I live my life as one life. I think a lot of people have that life separation thing happening, and so I wouldn't say it's a challenge. I would say the challenge is, and probably always will be, time, right? Having enough time in the day. So creating time and focusing on what matters most, like the critical priorities, having that clear, which is, again, another tip that's really important, is having your priorities really clear and having a minimum list of priorities, like not 20, but just 1 or 2 to focus on for the month. Is very helpful, because when I focus on too much, I don't get anywhere. So when I focus on one thing, it helps a lot. And then always the biggest challenge, too, is also relationships. So relationships take a lot of time. They're very important, just as important, if not more important, than certain tasks. But managing the many relationships and how to strategically plan in lunch times and things like that to nurture those relationships during the day, so that at night or evenings or dinner times I can focus on some of the personal goals that I have, or mornings. So that's great. Maybe a couple of those. Yeah.
That gives some great insight, because it shows the true application of how you take what it is that you do on a professional level, and you actually apply it to your own life, and it's helped you to be able to manage all the projects that you take on. So what are some of your personal goals and aspirations?
My personal goal is just to be a well-selling author. So that's my main goal right now. I'm also working on a conference. So a lot of writing time and, getting a conference. So author, speaker, similar to what I'm doing now. I just don't have a book for McGee Productivity Solutions, but I can't wait to write one on the productive Christian leader. Cannot wait, because we have other spiritual factors when it comes to productivity from a Christ-centered perspective. But yeah,
that's wonderful.
Those are my personal goals.
That's great. And how can our listeners get in touch with you if they're interested in hiring you to help them be more productive?
I would say, find me on LinkedIn, and my full name is Jendayi Harris, or Jendayi. There's not many of us. Jendayi Harris on LinkedIn, and that's the best way. So I'd love to connect with any listener who's interested for coaching or a consultation around their productivity.
That's wonderful. Jay, thank you so much for taking the time to provide our listeners with tips to help them be more productive as they forge their leadership path. You've been a wonderful guest.
Thank you so much, Ellie. I love it.
Great. And to all of my listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, God bless.